International trade and capital flows. How connected are you to the global economy? Probably more than you realize. If you buy a smartphone assembled overseas, order clothing made in another country, invest in an international mutual fund, or even donate money to a charity operating abroad, you are participating in the international movement of goods, services, and money. Every day, trillions of dollars in goods, services, investments, and financial payments move across national borders. These transactions connect consumers, businesses, governments, and investors around the world. But they also raise some important economic questions. What does it mean when a country imports more than it exports? Is a trade deficit necessarily bad? Is a trade surplus always good? The answers are more complicated than they may first appear. Understanding trade balances. Let's begin with the balance of trade, sometimes called the trade balance. A country's trade balance compares the value of its exports with the value of its imports. Exports are goods and services produced domestically and sold to people or businesses in other countries. Imports are goods and services produced in other countries and purchased domestically. The basic calculation is simple. Trade balance equals exports minus imports. If exports are greater than imports, the country has a trade surplus. If imports are greater than exports, the country has a trade deficit. And if exports equal imports, trade is balanced. However, economists often need a broader measurement than simply counting physical goods crossing borders. The merchandise trade balance measures trade in physical goods. Think of automobiles, computers, agricultural products, clothing, or oil. But modern economies also trade enormous amounts of services. A company might purchase financial services, computer programming, engineering, advertising, consulting, or other professional services from another country. This brings us to the current account balance, which provides a broader picture of a country's international economic transactions. The current account includes four major categories: trade in goods, trade in services, income received from or paid on international investments, unilateral transfers, such as foreign aid, charitable contributions, and money individuals send abroad. So remember this distinction. The trade balance focuses on exports and imports, while the current account provides a more complete picture of money moving into and out of a country. Trade deficits and surpluses in perspective. It is tempting to look at a trade surplus and say, "That's good," and look at a trade deficit and say, "That's bad." Economics isn't quite that simple. The United States had mostly small trade surpluses during the 1960s and early 1970s. Beginning in the 1980s, however, the United States began experiencing substantial and persistent trade deficits. Other countries have followed different patterns. Germany and Japan, for example, have frequently experienced trade surpluses. But the existence of a surplus or deficit does not, by itself, tell us whether an economy is healthy. Consider this. A country could have a trade surplus because its exports are booming. That might indicate economic strength, but it could also have a surplus because its economy is weak and consumers cannot afford many imports. Similarly, a trade deficit could result from consumers buying large amounts of foreign products, but it could also occur because international investors see attractive opportunities in the country and are pouring money into its businesses and financial markets. This is why economists examine trade balances in relation to other economic conditions rather than judging them in isolation. Trade and the flow of financial capital. One of the most important ideas to understand is that international trade and international investment are connected. Imagine two people on an island. We'll call them Robinson and Friday. At first, Robinson catches fish and trades them to Friday for coconuts. Each gives something and immediately receives something in return. Their trade is balanced. Now suppose Robinson wants to build an irrigation system. Building it will take several months, leaving him less time to produce food. Friday agrees to provide Robinson with food while Robinson builds the irrigation system. Robinson promises to repay Friday later with additional crops produced by the new system. Something interesting has happened. Robinson now has a trade deficit because he is receiving more from Friday than he is providing. Friday has a trade surplus because he is providing more than he is currently receiving. But Friday is essentially making an investment, or a loan, to Robinson. That illustrates a critical principle. A trade deficit corresponds with an inflow of financial capital. A trade surplus corresponds with an outflow of financial capital. A country running a current account deficit is, in effect, a net borrower from the rest of the world. A country running a current account surplus is a net lender. And international investment doesn't simply mean governments lending money to other governments. Foreign investors might purchase stocks, bonds, businesses, factories, or real estate. Saving, investment, and the trade balance. This connection leads us to another major concept, the national saving and investment identity. At the national level, the supply of financial capital must equal the demand for financial capital. The supply comes primarily from domestic savings and financial capital coming from abroad. The demand comes primarily from businesses investing in productive activities and from government borrowing when government spending exceeds tax revenue. The relationship can be expressed as S plus M minus X equals I plus G minus T. S represents private savings. M represents imports, X represents exports, I represents private investment, G represents government spending, and T represents taxes. Don't get lost in the letters. The bigger idea is more important. If a country wants to invest more than it saves domestically, that additional money must come from somewhere. It can come from foreign financial capital. That helps explain why trade deficits are connected to foreign investment. On the other hand, if a country saves more than it invests domestically, some of those savings can flow overseas. That situation is associated with a trade surplus. This means that trade balances are not determined simply by whether consumers prefer foreign cars or whether a government raises tariffs. They are connected to much broader patterns of saving, investment, government borrowing, and international capital flows. Are trade deficits really bad? Now we can return to our original question. Is a trade deficit bad? Sometimes, but not necessarily. During much of the 19th century, the United States imported more than it exported and received substantial foreign investment. Some of that foreign capital helped finance railroads, roads, water systems, schools, and other infrastructure that contributed to long-term economic growth. In that situation, borrowing from abroad helped expand the economy. The danger comes when borrowed money is used poorly. If foreign capital finances productive investments that increase future economic output, borrowing may be beneficial. But if the money finances projects that produce little economic value, the country may eventually face debt obligations without enough additional income to repay them. Another risk occurs when foreign investors suddenly lose confidence and withdraw their money. Several East Asian economies experienced this during the financial crisis of 1997 and 1998. Foreign investors rapidly pulled money out of financial markets, real estate, and banks. The sudden loss of foreign capital contributed to severe economic disruptions and recessions. But the reverse lesson is equally important. A trade surplus does not guarantee prosperity. Japan has experienced substantial trade surpluses for many years, yet it has also experienced periods of slow economic growth and recession. So instead of asking whether a deficit or surplus is automatically good or bad, ask a better question. Why does the imbalance exist? And what is happening to the money associated with it? Level of trade versus balance of trade. There is one final distinction that is easy to overlook. A country's level of trade is different from its balance of trade. The level of trade measures how much a country participates in international trade, often by comparing exports with GDP. The trade balance asks whether exports are greater or smaller than imports. A country can therefore have a high level of international trade while keeping exports and imports relatively balanced. Three major factors influence a country's level of trade: the size of its economy, its geographic location, its history of international trade. Large economies like the United States can conduct enormous amounts of economic activity within their own borders. Smaller countries often depend more heavily on international trade. Countries located near many trading partners also tend to trade more because transportation and communication costs are lower. Conclusion and key takeaways. International trade is about much more than ships carrying products from one country to another. Behind those products is an enormous international flow of money and financial capital. Here are the major ideas to remember. First, exports bring payments into a country, while imports send payments abroad. Second, exports greater than imports create a trade surplus, while imports greater than exports create a trade deficit. Third, the current account provides a broader measurement by including goods, services, investment income, and unilateral transfers. Fourth, trade balances and financial capital flows are two sides of the same economic relationship. A trade deficit is associated with a net inflow of foreign financial capital, while a trade surplus is associated with a net outflow. Fifth, National saving, investment, and government borrowing all help determine a country's trade balance. And finally, neither a trade deficit nor a trade surplus is automatically good or bad. What matters is why it exists, how financial capital is being used, and whether those decisions contribute to sustainable economic growth. The next time you see a headline announcing another massive trade deficit, don't stop at the number. Ask the economist's question: what's happening behind that number? And where is the money flowing? Make sure to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new update. I'm here to help you succeed and get that A. Thanks for watching, and keep thinking like an economist.